No,
How's that out?
That's much better.
Is that better?
That sounds like it's actually two.
Here's the first song, or not the first song, the last song that I pitched to Pete Seeger. We used to cut wood. He liked to cut wood. As we walk through this valley, as we climb up every hill.
Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
Sure.
This is Radio Free Roanoke, and this is episode 64, T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. HB, we are here at South County Library. I know a little, but I did not know about this special program by musicians that provides musical instruments to children who have a talent for music. And to tell us all about it, we brought in two of the best musicians I've ever met. That would be Bill Hudson and Al Coffey. Gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Hello, Bill. Al. Well,
How's
we're
it
glad to be
going?
here.
It's going well, and you guys, I've been told, know a little bit about this Feel Good tour. It's going to be a night of celebration down at the Trinity United Methodist Church, October 10th. Tell us your part in. Tell what it's all about, because I had never heard of it before.
Well, what it basically is, our celebration, and it's a free celebration.
That's a bonus.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does,
Free
and you
music
can
was-
bring the kids and the family and the whole 9 yards. But basically what it is a celebration of us doing 14 years of doing this, over 402 instruments later, with hardly any money. Why are we doing this, Al?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They
Why
mentioned
not?
non-profit a while ago. I think we defined that. I think we've been working on a broken shoestring budget. There's a lot of knots in that shoestring at this point. But we've always said we do what we can, where we can, and when we can. Sometimes it ain't that much. We wish it was more. But it's basically been mostly Bill and I doing what we can. And people are nice enough to donate instruments and things, and we sometimes, even the ones that don't work right now, we can either, some of them we can repair, some of them we can get repaired. And,
All right.
yeah,
Right.
we try and do anything we can, anybody who's willing to help. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
402 instruments you've been able to distribute to kids.
So far.
That's correct.
Wow.
And basically, in a nutshell, we're recycling.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
People are giving us instruments where they hear about us. And then, like, we had a man from North Carolina. He found us, and it was Christmas time. He couldn't afford, it's the parents. They can't afford instruments.
Right.
It's $500-600. They couldn't afford it. He drove all the way from North Carolina to get his daughter a violin for Christmas. So
Very
we were
cool.
able to.
And I mean, the strange thing there too is that the people who, I had a guy who was basically a metal worker artist. He would cut up pieces of metal and make stuff. Somebody, a friend of his, was going around to yard sales and this, that, and the other, found an old trumpet and a saxophone, thought he could just chop them up. He thought, these are in too good a shape, called me, had me come out and check them out. They're perfectly playable, so they're now in the hands of some kids. And
Oh,
so, yeah,
fantastic.
because you keep them moving,
Yeah.
and we're getting old. We want the next generation of musicians to be coming up, and you get the enthusiasm a kid has for music.
Yes.
You don't want to quench it. You want to
And
encourage
it's
it.
there. It's there. In November, what is that, the 24th?
22nd, I think.
22nd,
Yeah.
we go to Craig County High School. They asked us to go and fill up their school with instruments.
They haven't had a marching band or anything like that for a while, so
The music
we're going to find
budget-
what we can and take it.
The music,
Wow.
you would
Things.
think it's a high school,
Right.
and
Yes.
they have a budget for that. But the recurring thing that we always hear is music programs get cut or eliminated,
Sure.
Mhm.
and the kids you know.
And they suffer
So the
for it, yeah.
teachers came to us to say, can you come to our school?
Now, you
Wow.
guys have been able to donate musical instruments to schools in the Gulf Coast and West Virginia, I think in
Mhm.
community centers here in
Yes.
Roanoke,
Yeah.
and even individuals, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about the last person you might have done this to. Up at the Harvester, you had a case up there?
Well, yeah, the young fellow, I had to, well, one of the things that went through the fire.
This
had
was a
melted.
fire in 2015.
There was
Yeah,
a fire.
had a,
That's where the guitar was from?
yes,
Oh,
a
okay.
lot of these guitars had the nut that the strings passed through to go to the tuning pegs was
They
plastic,
melted.
and it had melted. I was able to take that out and get a new nut and get that repaired, and we got just to to this young fellow down in Rocky Mount, and it tickled me. That was especially nice because people were able to see what we did, not just hear about it, not just see a display or get a
It
leaflet
was
or whatever.
funny
They actually
because
saw what we
at
were
the
doing.
Harvester, they have to wait outside.
Right.
Right.
You know, and Matt, who is Ray Wiley Hubbard's road manager, I was talking to him and he said, you know, somebody came up to me and I was supposed to have a guitar or something, you know, and this kid was just so anxious to get his hands on it was Christmas
Yeah.
time.
Like, so you saw the picture that I
Oh.
showed you a while ago. The look on that kid's face tells you
Right,
exactly what
you
we're
could
talking
tell.
about.
Yeah.
He was
He was
just
very happy.
overjoyed.
Yeah.
How old was the kid? Roughly.
I don't know, 12?
12,
Yeah.
so he's good
Something like
age.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, I'm listening to an audio book right now on Jimi Hendrix, and he started out playing a broom, and then he got a guitar with one string from a friend who didn't use it anymore. So he was in the
He
same
was from
age.
That's-
Seattle.
Yes,
See,
he
that's
was,
the
yeah.
exact
Yeah.
thing, yet stuff they're not using anymore. We say if you get so many people who played something in high school, they put the thing away when they
Right.
graduated, stuck it in the closet,
Yep.
and been sitting there gathering dust. Said, dust it off. Let's get it to a kid who can now
Right.
play it again.
Let's
Yeah.
I mean,
recycle it.
Yes.
You know, think about this, Tim. Right now, as we sit here, how many millions of instruments are sitting in a closet not being used?
Waiting for an estate sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, you know, they're just,
Yes.
and what we do is 1-to-1.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do it in big numbers, so
Right.
it's 1-to-1. So, like, whenever I get a microphone, I talk about it. So I was in New York doing a festival, and this really nice lady said, "How do we do this?" And I said, "I come to your house and pick up the." In this case, it was a very expensive violin, but I had to sit down and listen to the story of the reason why. You know,
Right.
so it's very personal.
Yes.
And no matter how big this thing gets, we always want to keep it that way.
It's still a very
one
personal
to
one.
one.
I got you.
You know.
I like that. So if I had like a instrument that had maybe my grandfather had, and there might be a story behind it, I could
Yeah.
give it to you, but I could tell you that story, and then you
That's
could
right.
pass that story on to whoever takes
That's
it.
wonderful too. We've seen a lot of things that are just hanging on walls because they belong. I don't just the sentimental value of things. You know.
Right.
Like I have my mother's old guitars going to my great nephew eventually.
Right.
What about
But,
the cello? The guy from Alaska
Yeah,
that
the guy
gave
from-
us not only the cello, but he also put a note in the cello
where
for
it had
the
been and where it
student
came
or
from.
the kid
Yeah.
that we were.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
it was
So
kind
you
of
could
a
learn the
neat
story,
connection.
Bill and Al, y'all looks like y'all's instruments would have some stories behind them. Looking at those,
Oh, yeah.
they got some miles and
Good
Yeah.
call, HB. I think this guitar that Bill has, it does smell of a certain fire.
Yeah, yeah.
it's been through what, 2 you said?
2
Two
fires.
fires.
Wow.
It still has a
And,
good charcoal
uh,
smell.
Wow.
You know, that's the negative part of it. The positive part, at least last time, I didn't realize how many friends I have out in the world that just came out of the woodwork.
Oh.
You know, Al being one of them, because Al's been with me from the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of crazy idea to go to New Orleans
No, it's-
and make people feel good and play music?
Met him at an open mic, and we just, I was kind of the sort of the house band, as it were. I play several instruments, so people said, "Come on, play that fiddle. Come on, play some sax,
Yeah.
play harmonica."
Yeah.
And I'd back up everybody, and he started playing some stuff, and we found that we played well together.
Right.
So when he called about going to New Orleans in 2005, I said, "Yeah, okay, let's try it. Let's give it a shot."
Yeah,
And,
it was tough. It was tough
But
because
it-
you got to keep in mind your cell phone's not working, electricity's, the grid is down.
Now, this is at Katrina.
Yeah,
During
right.
Katrina,
After
yeah,
that
this is
storm.
That's when all this kind of started.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you guys went down there.
Yeah,
October
not
of
knowing
2005.
anyone, not knowing anyone. So,
Yes.
you know, all the things that we take for granted, water, food, shelter,
Sure.
Weren't there.
it's
Yeah.
gone. And the most amazing thing is how, you know, America right now is so divided. When the chips are really down, it doesn't matter whether
Yeah,
you're
everybody gets
Christian,
Right, that's right.
pagan,
Mhm.
liberal, because it doesn't matter.
Right.
Born again
You know,
heathen.
Right.
People
Yeah.
came out of the woodwork. I mean, we saw in, it wasn't St. Bernard's, was it Chalmette,
Yeah.
in New Orleans, the Rainbow People, who I've heard about,
Mhm.
were feeding 1,500 people a day.
Wow.
Fresh, organic food.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the
I
trips.
saw that.
Then we
And
went
nobody
down.
was in charge, and it looked totally disorganized. And
But it was people.
I
helping.
said to the head honcho, you know, he
Organized
already
chaos. Yeah.
gave me a DVD and a promo pack. And I said, wow, you guys are real organized. And he
We
looked
don't
at,
use words like that around here.
and he looked at me, and he just, a young guy, Ivan, I think his name was, and he just kind of shook his head, and he said, we don't like that word organized.
Nice.
So my whole 1960s activism went out the door.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Well, we saw a lot of that too with, when we went to Buras, about 75 miles south of New Orleans. A little further and you're right in the Gulf. It's what it
Yeah,
was.
that was the last
Yeah.
grade school.
Yeah, I was amazed at the way the folks were handling that down there. They had what had been, I think, a bowling alley. Yeah, that now had two walls standing.
Wow.
Yeah, they took it out.
And they took in there, they put in a camp kitchen, like a military style kitchen with at least that kind of equipment so you could handle a lot of people. Set up a batch of washing machines and dryers and such, set up a
All free.
Wi-Fi center, lending library, found every book they could to set up on some, blocks and boards so people could have stuff to read.
Children's area.
Yeah, I mean, and they were just doing
Tell them
incredible
the
stuff.
school that we don't, I mean, this is
Oh, yeah.
80 miles south of New Orleans.
Little,
Grade school that didn't have a music program.
Boothville Venice
Mm.
Elementary. We went in there around just before Christmas, I think, on one trip, and we're just trying to go through, see if we can help. And the lady who it tickled me, her name was Vanessa Williams, not the actress, but another very
The
pretty
other
black lady.
Vanessa.
Yes, she was the principal at the time, and said something about, boy, I really wish we had maybe an electric keyboard or something for a Christmas program. Turned out we had just been given a couple of electronic keyboards
Oh.
2 days before, and went
Very
out to the
cool.
trunk. Here you go.
Hello,
And
Santa.
We
And-
even gave him a real piano.
Well, yeah, a couple trips later, we found an acoustic piano to take there, and they had not had a music program at the school.
Yeah, there's
They
no
went out and
music
found a
program.
teacher and started one.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was backwards, kind of
Yeah.
what we're doing in
Yeah.
Craig County. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they don't have a music program.
We're trying to
and
get
we
one
went,
started for
okay,
You're right.
and thank God for the teachers.
They have some
They're
volunteer
instigating
teachers
that.
to teach the music program, and one lady is going to volunteer to get the marching band of some form started up for them.
Right.
Yeah,
Very
so we're doing
cool.
it backwards.
Doing it backwards. Well, you guys have been in music. It sounds like almost all your life. And Al,
Yeah.
the Swiss Army musician.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that term about yourself?
Well, yeah, I know exactly when that started.
Tell us about that.
There's a lady named Jean Gabrielle who's, her nickname is the Radar Rose. I think that was a band that was popular around the area. But she and I were sitting at the bar at the old Green Dolphin it was at the time.
Yeah.
And they had the open mic, like say, going in. I would be sitting there and someone would call me up to play a different instrument. And I've always been a big proponent of the Swiss Army knife itself because it's a toolbox on your belt. Yeah. And after a while, after I kept pulling out different instruments and going up, and Jane looked at me and said, well, "You're just a Swiss Army musician." And it stuck.
Right. Yeah. Makes
So
sense.
how many instruments do you think you could play?
Well, I dabble with about a dozen at the moment. I mess with anything I get my hands on, learn something with it.
That's about 12 more than me.
I don't claim to be really good at all of them, but I found Well, I always joke about the idea if a band can't afford a singer who can sing lead or harmony, who can play fiddle and mandolin and guitar and sax and harp, and if they can't afford the 5 other guys, they hire me.
One man band.
Why don't you tell them how old is that fiddle?
Oh yeah, I lucked into this.
Yeah, Al's
years
fiddle
ago.
here. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
have an old fiddle that was made in 1821. I figured if I can survive and play it for another 2 years, it'll make 200 years.
200 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's the nicest fiddle I've ever owned. I really like it. Yeah, it's which really was
You
scary.
took that
when-
on the road when we
I
did
was,
that radio interview.
I was dumb enough to take that down to New Orleans and
Oh, no.
when Buras. Remember, it was so
Humid.
foggy and humid and muggy. It was starting to come apart.
Sure.
And I lucked out. I had
yeah.
a friend of mine who's a fiddle maker up in there, and he was able to make sure all the glue held back together and got
Wow.
it in good shape again. But I don't take it any place that humid anymore.
Right, yeah.
I have a backup.
Al, do you have like a special case for it? Or?
Well, no. I mean, the case
Is that
just-
its original case?
No, actually, this is the second case I had for it. It's one of those you put enough duct tape and bumper stickers and things on it. It keeps it together.
Stays together.
I especially like that when a friend of mine was friends with Merle Haggard for about 25 years, and his road manager gave me a bunch of stickers to put on there where they made Merle Haggard Drive out in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Merle. Well, Bill, you got a website. You have some very nice videos on there. I like Cross That River.
Thank you.
But you've played on the same stage with Bruce Springsteen. You've spent some time with Pete Seeger. Tell us about Pete Seeger.
Well, that's kind of a long story because
Wonderful.
Well, one or two highlights.
I was 20. I'm an ex-monk. I spent 6 years in a monastery. I wanted to be a monk because that's in the 60s. That's what everybody was doing.
Where were you at that time? Studying.
I went to Wisconsin, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
Wow.
I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And I met this guy from Haight-Ashbury that told me something was going on. So it's funny. I met my first hippie in a monastery. I mean, I know.
Small world.
Marvin Lewis. But where I met Pete, I was in the process of leaving the monastery, and he was trying to clean up the Hudson River. And the Hudson River was just a dirty
Right.
river, and during World War II, a lot of little factories, and probably around here too, that created a lot of work, and they
Sure.
just dumped the waste. So Pete had this crazy idea of building a sailboat, a 96-foot boat called the Clearwater, and that was almost 50 years later. And we were involved against the war, a lot of us. So environmental studies and activism really wasn't, it was being created.
Right.
So there was a lot of division back then, what I can remember. But Pete had this spirit of like going, Bill, Con Edison just donated a 60-foot tulip tree, and we're going to make a canoe out of it. And his brain's like going a mile a minute, and he's like going, I already figured we're going to have like 60 tons of chips or whatever it was. And I'm like looking at him like I always did. Are you nuts? And somehow he had an adolescent energy.
Never lost the joy.
Yeah, all the way up to 90,
Wow.
And when I'd gig up in New York, and I brought Al one time, I'd stay with Pete and Toshi, and Toshi was a great cook, so she made the best pea soup, and I'd just open up the refrigerator and go, what's to eat, Toshi? So I'd help Pete for a couple of days, do my gig, and we'd trade songs and trade ideas. And he was a very inspiring person, and the circle around him and with the Clearwater, because I'm a stage manager for the Clearwater Festival that happens on Father's Day.
Oh.
I've been doing that for like 9 years. But where I learned all those skills, Tim, was from Toshi.
Toshi.
Yeah.
It tickles me on
Yeah,
stuff.
she
there.
was the
We,
gatekeeper.
for a good while, he used to talk about Pete a lot and things like that, and open mics and stuff. And a lot of us around here thought, yeah, right, yeah, he's just BS and he's just trying to throw
Right.
it.
Name dropping.
And then I made the trip up to New York, and we were at the Beacon Sloop Club's board meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, Al, come on over here. I want you to meet Pete." And I, okay, he actually isn't full of crap.
Yeah.
Was
And
we
I
get
was, I was lucky enough to meet Pete. He was 91 at the time, getting around like somebody half his age. It's
Yeah, he had a good run, didn't he?
Oh, he's
Sure did.
and a wonderful gentleman.
And yeah, I've seen him. I saw him on TV. One of his performances there in D.C. When President Obama was inaugurated, I believe.
Oh, yeah, with Bruce.
Yeah, with Bruce.
Yeah.
As
That
we
was
start
funny.
to wrap up,
Mhm.
let's circle back to
Okay.
the tour,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Feel Good Tour, because when you talk about a galaxy of musical acts, you've got quite a few stars that are going to appear
Oh,
there
yeah.
that night with you. And by the way, it's going to be in the sanctuary above 3rd Street Coffee House.
Yeah.
So tell us some of the other stars that are going to be there, the acts that are going to be there along with you guys.
Oh, my gosh.
We've got some fabulous people,
um,
actually.
Joe Stopka is from Chicago, and he plays trombone.
Mm.
And Joel is in a Cuban jazz band. Now, keep in mind, I'm a folkie, but Joel is just an incredible, talented. He's in about 6 bands,
Okay,
and the Cuban jazz
that'd be fun.
I wish we could bring the
is
whole bunch, but
is electrifying. It
Wow.
I mean, I'm not a jazz guy, but he was at Blue 5, and there is in the Spanish community dancers, very well dressed,
Right.
male and female. They came out to dance. There's no room at Blue 5. They
But-
moved all the
Right.
furniture and danced for this band. So we have Joe Stopka.
Joe
we
We've
have
also got Cat Mills from Blacksburg area, wonderful singer-songwriter.
Yep, heard her.
Steve Gaitis, another excellent singer-songwriter.
Steve is a great singer-songwriter. He produced Cooking in the Kitchen
I've heard
for
that.
me,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
we got a
JoJo Stockton. who
We
is-
like
Okay.
JoJo a
Yeah,
lot.
JoJo, he's all
He's
kinds
a
of fun.
character.
Just
Yeah.
such a nice guy too.
Yep.
And Billy Hurt, one of the best fiddle players I have heard in a long time. There's only one guy I can think of who was better than him, and that guy's been playing for George Strait
Oh,
for
wow.
35 years. He used
And Billy tours all around the
Oh,
world.
yeah. He's all
But
over
Billy he has a certain style of fiddle playing.
and he has an unbelievable memory. He
right
can pick
here.
stuff up like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yep.
Jonathan Barker, incredible keyboard player.
Yeah, he's
Wicked
with
sense of humor.
Pink Floyd, if you like Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah,
He's with a Pink Floyd cover band. Great guy.
And then a couple of guys that I work with that I'm really happy to be out with.
Mm-hmm.
A fellow named Steve Hertz and Charlie Reed were the new version of Rarely Available.
You do great harmonies.
A lot 3-part harmony. It's a joy to sing with those guys.
Well, this is going to be quite a night. Now, it's October 10th. It
Right.
starts at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Trinity
Right.
United Methodist Church. It's in the sanctuary above 3rd Street Coffee House.
That's
No
correct.
charge.
Yep.
And it's just such a good cause. Now, as we wrap up, remind folks or tell folks how to get in touch with you if they have that trumpet or if they have that guitar
Right. Gotta-
or if they have that harmonica they want to donate
Sure.
to you. How do people do that?
One way is you can email me at thefeelgoodtourinfo@gmail.com or liberty1street@gmail.com or on Facebook. We get a lot of traffic from
Yeah.
Facebook, so you can look for The Feel Good Tour on Facebook and get a hold of us.
Wow.
We'll go
And-
anywhere for the kids.
And on top of
That's
that,
what
if
we say.
anybody's plans on coming to the show, if they want to bring it with them, we'll have
Oh,
them.
Oh, yes, that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
And-
Yeah.
Good idea.
And
Yeah.
we're also, although we don't have any charge for things, if anybody wants to donate a little something, whether a little cash is nice so we can buy some mouthpieces for this or some parts.
And
strings
we
for
are
that,
a
yeah.
501c3 organization.
Yeah, we
Okay.
are organized with United Peace Relief as our
So we're gonna have about probably 20 kids that we've donated instruments. They'll be part of the audience.
Oh, very
We're
cool.
hoping that they can play
And they
something.
know cooking in the kitchen.
Okay.
Boy, do they do a rowdy version of that.
That's a
All
fun
right.
song if you haven't heard
One
it.
quick little thing of some people we would also like to mention that
Mhm.
have been instrumental in helping us a lot. They do the same thing we do on a larger basis. Is
That's
Jeff
right.
Campbell with Hungry for Music.
Mm.
They've given away
Jeff
a
does
lot
the
of
same thing we do. I found him on the net. He's
Yeah.
from Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff has given away, I think, 22,000 instruments worldwide.
Wow.
Well, he's a bigger organization.
And
Yeah.
Jeff lives
He
out of
helps
his
us.
camper, and he does the same thing we do, but he just travels around the
We'll
country.
get in
All
touch, 2 or 3 times a year, and he'll have a bunch of stuff for us. I mean, I'll be honest with you. In this area, there are so many good musicians that a lot of them hang on to the stuff and play them
Sure.
until they die, and then hand
Yes.
their kids and they play them.
Yeah.
So
You know-
it's a little harder to get people to turn loose of things here, but we do have quite a few around here. But it's sometimes when our music for Christmas program we've been doing now for 3 years, we're getting ready for our 4th. There's so many people that still need stuff that sometimes we need a little outside help, and
Yeah.
Jeff
Sure.
has been really.
And, here's another
Instrumental in
thing
that.
too. We'll go anywhere
Yeah.
to talk to anybody about what we do.
Well,
Very
thank you
cool.
for so much coming
Wow.
to talk to us today
Yes.
about this.
Thank
And
you
we're
for
gonna
having us.
we're gonna push this. And as we go off the air here, is there any way you guys could just throw a few notes for us one more time?
Yes.
Close us out here.
A little something.
Oh, yeah.
Since you brought this toy, might as well play with it.
What is that, Al? Oh, the fiddle.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Oh, yeah.
this will be good.
Grandma comes in the kitchen, she's feeling kind of low. Turns the radio on, it gets down to a very slow. Grandma, she's cooking all night long. That's right. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in that kitchen all night long. Grandpa comes in the kitchen. He sees Grandma getting down. Finds an old hiding place and takes a few shots of that good southern whiskey. Oh yeah. Grandpa's cooking all night long. Let go. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in that kitchen all night long. Here comes the old baby sister. Little baby sister. She comes in after school. Sees Grandpa and Grandma getting down on that floor. Little baby sister, she's cooking all night. Bum, 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 bum. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in that kitchen all night long. Oh yeah! Go, Grandpa! Now, big baby brother, he comes in after work. He drinks a 6-pack of 2 and he starts losing. Big baby brother, he just slides right across that floor. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in the kitchen. Cooking in that kitchen all night long. Now those rafters shaking, all those windows are breaking. He goes over there to check that situation out, to really see what's going on. Once he passes the threshold, sees grandpa and grandma, little babies, and big baby brother dancing, you know, he's going, cooking in the kitchen, cooking in the kitchen, cooking in the kitchen, cooking in the kitchen, cooking in that kitchen all night long. Oh yeah, pick up some of those beans, mama.